When it comes to dessert, Tokyo does not play games. They go straight for the throat and are armed to the teeth with pastries, puddings, puffs, and plenty more. Over the course of a week, I found myself exploring the dessert scene, from mountains of shaved ice to chocolates from Wonka's factory to many, many, many canapés. Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination as we visit 8 stops across the city and turn my flesh into butter and blood into sugar. Let's get started. Kicking things off, we're at Dandelion Chocolate in Kuramae, a factory/cafe specializing in all things chocolate. To drink, I got a hot chocolate, served in a silky smooth stoneware cup that warmed my hands from the biting cold. This version is a Kuramae exclusive that's made with hojicha. The first sip fills your mouth with that creamy frothy top and releases an aroma of rich chocolate and toasty hojicha hiding underneath that builds in intensity with each sip. And to start off the tour, this is the chef's special chocolate tasting, featuring just a murderer's row of dessert bites. It came with teeny tiny utensils that were pillaged from a local dollhouse. At first glance, it doesn't seem like these all contain chocolate, but that's the beauty. Each item presented the single origin chocolate in a different fashion and showcased their ingenuity. First up is the financier that pretty much tasted like a brownie. A solid start, but I just wish it was bigger. It was only now that I started to realize how small each of these bites were. Moving down the line is the pistachio creme brulee. I tried breaking the sugar, but forgot that with such a small mass, the spoon needed a higher velocity to impart a sufficient impulse to induce catastrophic failure. You know, basic physics, but I digress. The chocolate here is concealed at the very bottom to make a creamy Dubai-esque creme brulee. Next is the lemon tart. Again, the chocolate was a bit shy, but cutting the tart revealed it hiding within a house of lemon curd. This bite was a perfect demonstration of balance. Dark bitter chocolate against bright tangy lemon, and creamy custard against the crumbly crunchy crust. The profiterole had the most prominent chocolate taste of the bunch, and I loved the cream, but the choux pastry itself fell a bit flat, physically, metaphorically, and emotionally. Finally, the most unique of the bunch, a jelly made with the flesh of the cacao fruit, topped with raspberry compote. I've never had cacao fruit before, and this was fragrant. It tasted like walking through the perfume section of a department store. In addition to the food and drink, this is the perfect place to do a little souvenir shopping and get some gifts for friends back home or a couple treats for yourself. I ended up with 2 bars of single origin chocolate from Tanzania and Belize, and a box flight of 5 chocolates. Each of the chocolates in this box was 5 grams, which seems like quite a bit as someone who's more used to 5 milligrams in their chocolate. We tried 2 of the chocolates to compare, and I'll be honest, I couldn't really taste the difference. I think some are supposed to be fruitier or nuttier with different notes, but my palate still has a lot to learn. Dandelion chocolate was a great start, and I left buzzing with excitement for the rest of the tour. Though, looking back, maybe that's just the sugar high kicking in. We're heading over to Ueno for our next stop, Kurogi. It was winter when we visited, so of course that means it's perfect weather for a cold treat. Here, their forte is kakigori, or shaped ice, and who boy howdy do they deliver. In case you were wondering, yes, this is a small. I quake in fear at how big a regular is, heaven forbid a large. This avalanche is their seasonal special flavor, kabocha, which is a type of Japanese pumpkin. Every inch of it was doused in kabocha cream and was so yellow it looked like it was pulled straight out of a scene from Breaking Bad. To the untrained eye, one might even think this was a mountain of runny scrambled eggs, but make no mistake, this was sweet, cool, and creamy. The ice itself was sticky and fluffy and instantly melted if you exhaled too close to it. Resting on top were 2 nuggets of braised kabocha that were so dense, I'm surprised they didn't sink into the ice. Further excavation revealed a treasure trove of cashews and red bean paste that helped to add variety and keep the bowl from being too monotonous. And in case all of this wasn't sweet enough, there's a side of mitarashi syrup to dial up those sugar levels straight to an 11. In addition, we got some warabi mochi, a traditional Japanese confection. Off to the side were 2 powders for dipping. The brown one on top was kinako, while the green was matcha. The warabi mochi itself was an excellent example of viscoelastic materials. Eating this was a whole ordeal and test of my chopstick skills, as I tried to corral and navigate it from each compartment in the box to my bowl. After giving it a quick jiggle, I drizzled some kuromitsu and downed it in one gulp, being careful not to choke in the process. Of the two flavors, I preferred the matcha, purely because of how it made the warabi mochi look like a mossy rock plucked straight from the pond. It took a while to get through everything, but eventually we cleaned up shop and headed out, hopefully for something a bit warmer this time. When I think of bakeries, I imagine a cozy store off the street where the sound of mixers and smell of butter fill the morning air as people file in for a sweet treat. But one of my favorite bakeries this trip sat in the basement food hall of a department store. This is Noix de Beurre. As a small booth, you'd think they ship in their items given the limited space, but they've somehow defied the laws of physics and have teams of bakers in the back working furiously to pump out fresh pastries throughout the day. While waiting in line, there were displays of gift boxes filled with cookies and goodies that were in desperate need of a home, so being the good Samaritan I am, I picked up a tin of sablés and a small bag of financiers called Le Petit Sac. When it was our turn to order, we stepped up to the plate and took in the beauty that was the pastry case. Nests of financiers, towers of cannelés, bushels of lemon cakes, everything was tantalizing. After perusing through the catalog, we pulled a Harry Potter and took the lot to try a bit of everything. Since the weather was so nice, we went to the rooftop where there was a little garden and outdoor dining area. I forgot to take a group photo of everyone in the beginning, so here's a little foreshadowing of all the goods to come. First up is the cannelé. It's a bit on the smaller side and doesn't necessarily look impressive, but it's bursting with vanilla and rum flavor, and the crispy exterior made for great crunching. Next is their pièce de résistance, the financier. Biting into it released an aroma of butter so strong and fragrant, even Voldemort would have been able to smell it. It reminded me of walking into a movie theater right after a fresh batch of buttery popcorn is prepared. I can see why everyone in line was buying boxes of these babies. This is the galette bretonne, a puck of pure chocolate. My favorite part of this was its texture. Crispy and crunchy with every crumb lodging into the crevices of your teeth, making this the perfect treat to eat before a dentist appointment. This pastry is a tigre, which is French for tiger. It's called that because chocolate shavings are incorporated in the batter to give it a speckled appearance that resembles a tiger. I feel like that's a bit of a stretch and maybe cheetah would be a better name, but hey, a rose by any other name, right? Love the pool of chocolate ganache on top. Following that is the Madeleine Maman, the humblest of the bunch. Simple, straightforward, and reminded me of the cupcakes my mom made me when I was a wee lad. Nearing the end, our next contestant is a slice of pound cake. The best part of this is the lemon glaze on top that fills in each nook and cranny and was tart and crispy to offer textural contrast against the moist, buttery cake. And finally, a ripe lemon cake, freshly plucked from the lemon cake tree. It's a gorgeous yellow that resembles the jammy yolk of a perfectly soft-boiled egg, but tastes like biting into a lemon, if it were filled with sugar, butter, and flour. And on top, there's even a sweet candied lemon rind. Here's the final yearbook photo of the graduating class of pastries, all excited for their future in my stomach. If I had to pick my top 3, it would be the financier, lemon cake, and tigre, but honestly, just get them all if you can. Now if you excuse me, I'm gonna take a quick walk in the feeble attempt to digest this off. We brought back a couple extra goodies to continue this bacchanalian feast. A fun rustic box of financiers to share with relatives, and a gift box shaped as a house. To celebrate being a new homeowner, we dug into the last 2 pastries to complete the roster. The chocolate financier looked and tasted like a brownie. Compared to the plain financier, what this lost in pure butter aroma, it more than made up with luscious chocolate, which gave me a hankering for some milk. And finally, a slice of caramel banana bread. Dense, moist, buttery. I can describe it all I want, but I mean just look at it. It's beautiful and the perfect ending for the stop. We woke up bright and early to get some breakfast from a cafe aptly named 1 out of 12 times a year. This is February Cafe. I'm not the biggest matcha drinker, which feels a bit sacrilegious to say in Japan, but I'm learning to appreciate it. I ordered this unsweetened just so I would have some respite from the sweets to follow. A bit of morning sugar to kickstart the engine never hurt anyone, so I got the ogura butter toast, a scoop of chunky red bean paste with a pat of butter. With the spreader, I played Picasso and painted the red bean across a quadrant of the toast. It may not be the prettiest, but each bite with the fluffy toast, thick red bean paste, and creamy butter was so overindulgent, it almost felt like I got caught doing something wrong, and I had to go to confession afterwards to atone for having such a good bite. Of course, we had to get some breakfast dessert, and went with the classic pudding, complete with a hairdo of whipped cream and a cherry on top. Here's the obligatory wobble test, and I can safely say it passed with flying colors. With each spoonful, you get that beautifully dark caramel running down the side, and its slight bitterness helps to balance the soft, sweet pudding. Oftentimes with dessert, there's an emphasis on having different textures, like balancing crunchy with creamy. But what I liked about the whipped cream was that you get to experience two types of softness within the dessert. After waving goodbye to Mr. Pudding, we ended him and went on our merry way. Japan is well known for pudding, but there are a couple other pastries that I think embody the holy trinity of desserts in Japan, and that is cream puffs, canapés, and financiers. Here are two shops that specialize in these treats. Over in Ginza, underneath the train tracks, there's a long corridor where you'll find a little mall with a bunch of restaurants and shops. If you keep walking and don't lose faith, that's where you'll find Patisserie Tenand. They have a reservation-only dine-in option, but we're here to bask in the beauty that is their takeout pastry case and get a full set of their signature items, a cream puff, financier, and cannelé. To start the show, we have a vanilla cream puff. This beast was filled to the brim with cream and was practically bursting at the seams like pants on Thanksgiving. What's special about the filling is that it's a mix of pastry cream and whipped cream, so you get the richness and body of a thick custard, but the lightness of a whipped cream. With the crunchy crackling on top, this checks all the marks of what the consummate cream puff should be. Easily my favorite of the bunch. Next in this bag of tricks is the financier. The butter smell isn't quite as explosive as the one from Noix de Beurre, but still respectable and delicious. And of course, the cannelé. Beautifully shaped with impeccable radial symmetry. If you couldn't tell, cannelés have been my latest pastry obsession, and I really want to learn how to make them someday. And to round things out, we got a sarcophagus of mummified financiers to bring home as a snack. The other shop we visited specializing in this pastry trifecta is DOLCE, TACUBO, and Daikanyama. Walking in, everything is displayed on the counter like an art museum, but much more exciting because the exhibits are edible and for sale. Since I'm a creature of habit and have a reputation to uphold, we took the lot once again. There's no seating inside, but there's a couple benches and tables outside for you to enjoy your haul. If you're lucky and the weather is nice, it's fun to eat while people walk by in envy. By this point, you know the drill. Cannelé, financier, and cream puff, all present and accounted for. The cannelé exterior was just as crisp as others we've had this trip, but the interior was slightly chewier. Though I'm a believer of soft, custardy cannelés, I think it's just a matter of taste, and some may prefer these ones. This is the 5th financier of the trip, and to be transparent, I'm running out of adjectives to describe them. All these bakeries execute them with such mechanical precision, it's hard to crown a winner. Last but not least, a hazelnut cream puff. The first bite is deceptive, because you just get a mouthful of airy hazelnut whipped cream, but with a little persistence, that heavier golden custard reveals itself to bring back balance to the puff. As always, we brought a couple extra souvenirs to the hotel to keep the party going. I'm saving the box of shortbread and bag of sugar rusk for when we get back home, but the magazine of candies were shot straight into our mouths for a luxurious late-night snack. To pair with it, our final item is a cute jar of pudding that had the richest, eggiest taste of them all. Digging deeper into the guts unleashed the dark caramel hiding at the bottom and was an immaculate way to end this round of desserts. Our penultimate stop is the convenience store, where a bounty awaits us. To start, this is a soufflé pudding from Family Mart. It's a tri-layered dessert with pudding on the bottom, whipped cream in the middle, and a soufflé on top. This is dangerous. It's light and airy, so each bite feels innocuous, like it doesn't count. Your arm starts moving independent of your mind, and before you know it, the whole thing is gone. Next up, a self-assembled flight of ice creams. First is from a brand called Pinot. It's 6 bite-sized chunks of vanilla ice cream dipped in chocolate with a toothpick to eat them. Any guesses for which will be my first victim? If you pick the top right, congratulations, you just want a pat on the head. As you can see from the cross-section, it's vanilla inside, and the chocolate shell melts super quickly, so best to stick with the toothpick. Moving on is the first of 2 ice creams from Haagen-Dazs. This is a cup of sweet potato butter and cookie. There's bits of cookie sprinkled on top that through some level of engineering manages to maintain its crunch even after extended storage. The purple ooze is a layer of sweet potato syrup, which rests on top of sweet potato butter ice cream. Get a scoop of all 3 layers and hoo-wee, it's bound to be a good night. I could easily down a full pint if they had it. And finally, the rich caramel ice cream sandwich, again from Mr. Hagen. It's 2 thin wafers with caramel ice cream dipped in a caramel chocolate shell. Biting into it, this thing splooged all over the place and became a mess. I have always thought that the messier food is, the better it tastes, and this is another piece of evidence in favor. I feel like Haagen-Dazs ice creams are so much more creative here, and if I could bring a freezer as my carry-on, I'd take a bunch home with me. But for now, let's head back out into the field to conduct our last investigative report. Our final stop of the trip is in Aoyama at the flagship store of Yokomoku, my favorite Japanese confectionery store. We took a gander at some Aoyama exclusive items they were selling, but our objective today is the adjoining cafe called Blue Brick Lounge. We were seated with a welcome drink of apricot tea which had a mesmerizing color. Since we were outdoors, we had to play a zone defense throughout the meal to prevent leaves from falling into our food, but that didn't stop us from having a good time. Now unfortunately, I have some bad news. We're about to break our streak of exclusively eating sweets. We could no longer handle the pressure and caved, so we got a burrata and prosciutto galette. I'll be honest, even as someone who openly mocks vegetables, it was nice to get something green and fresh in the bloodstream. It was a bit cumbersome to construct each bite, but hey, anything to burn a couple extra calories. It did come with a side of honey syrup to add a touch of sweetness, so I think we'll give this savory item a pass and let it slide. And now we're coming to the end, and we're going out with a banger. This is their seasonal glass bowl dessert, chocolate and berries. It's absolutely beautiful and comes with warm chocolate sauce to melt and collapse the chocolate ceiling. In the bowl is a party of berries, ice cream, whipped cream, chocolate crunch, cacao gelée, and berry compote. As I dug deeper in the bowl though, it quickly looked like something Jackson Pollock whipped up in the kitchen. From that initial elegant appearance to now a chocolate mess, this was the most drastic shift in appearance I've seen since I watched Demi Moore in The Substance. Regardless, we demolished it, and I was sad my tongue couldn't reach the bottom of the bowl to lick it clean. Once all the plates were cleared, they threw in a bonus treat, their signature cigar cookie that I always get a box of to bring back home. And just like that, we've reached the end of our tour. It was fun becoming a temporary desertivore and exploring all these sweets across the city. If I had to choose my 2 favorite spots of this trip, it would easily be the kabocha shaped ice from Kurogi and anything you can get your mitts on from Noix de Beurre. All the places were good, but they were just a step above, and I'd love to go back. Many thanks as always for sticking around, and come back next time for the final episode in Tokyo where we go on a sugar cleanse and address all the other actual food that was consumed. Peace out.